Welcome, tennis fans, to what might just be the most electrifying story developing at the All England Club this year. The hallowed grass courts of Wimbledon have seen their fair share of legends, upsets, and history-making moments, but the energy crackling through the air right now is entirely unique. We are standing on the precipice of a monumental third-round clash. On one side of the net, we have a defending champion, the world number one, and the reigning queen of the WTA Tour, Poland's Iga Świątek. On the other side is a 20-year-old phenom who is redefining what is possible for a country, the pride of the Philippines, Alex Eala. But here's the breaking news that is sending shockwaves through the tennis community. Alex Eala is not walking onto the court alone. She is entering this massive showdown with unprecedented monumental backing, both from corporate juggernauts and an entire nation of fiercely loyal supporters. Eala is wearing her heritage proudly on the world's biggest stage, sporting custom Nike gear inscribed with a powerful Tagalog message, Kapag lumago, hindi na hihinto, which translates to, once it grows, it cannot be stopped. This isn't just about a lucrative brand deal. This is about a rising athlete drawing immense strength from her roots. Armed with this incredible emotional and structural support, Eala is riding a wave of unstoppable momentum following her spectacular, revenge-fueled second-round victory over Australia's Maya Joint. Now, she faces the ultimate test against Swiatek. The head-to-head between these two fierce competitors is tied at 1 win apiece, with Eala shocking the world on the hard courts of Miami last year, and Swiatek taking her revenge on the red clay of Madrid. Now, the battlefield shifts to the unpredictable, lightning-fast grass of Wimbledon. Will the Philippine sensation secure her first-ever Grand Slam fourth-round berth, or will the defending champion shut down the Cinderella story? Buckle up, because today we are diving deeply into every single facet of this epic encounter. The history, the sponsorships, the intense tactics, and the incredible cultural pride that is fueling Alex Eala's massive Wimbledon run. To truly understand the gravity of this upcoming third-round match, we first have to look at how Alex Eala carved her path through the draw this week in London. Her 2026 Wimbledon campaign started with a statement of pure dominance. In the first round, she faced off against Mexico's Renata Zarazua. Many analysts expected a competitive match, but Eala came out swinging with an aggressive, suffocating baseline game that left Zarazua completely overwhelmed. Eala dismantled her opponent in straight sets, dropping only 3 games in a rapid-fire 6-1, 6-2 victory. It was a clinical performance. Her serve was clicking. Her footwork on the notoriously slippery first-week grass was impeccable, and she demonstrated a level of maturity that showed she was ready for a deep run. But it was her second-round match that truly tested her mettle and showcased the champion's mindset she has been cultivating. Waiting for her in the second round was Australia's Maya Joint. Now, this wasn't just any second-round draw. There was a massive narrative of redemption at play here. Just weeks prior, Eala had suffered a painful defeat at the hands of Joint in the Eastbourne Open, one of the premier grass court tune-up events leading into Wimbledon. That loss could have easily lingered in Eala's mind, creating a mental block on this surface. And for a brief moment, it looked like history might repeat itself. Joint came out firing in the first set, executing her game plan perfectly and taking the opening set 6-3. Eala was struggling to find her rhythm, struggling to read the Australian's deceptive slice, and staring down the barrel of an early tournament exit. But this is where we see the immense growth of Alexandra Eala. She didn't panic. She didn't fold. Instead, she retreated to her chair, reset her focus, and came out for the second set like a completely different player. She began to step inside the baseline, taking the ball incredibly early and completely robbing Joint of any time to set up her shots. Eala dictated the rallies, finding incredible angles that stretched Joint far beyond the single sidelines. The Filipina took the second set 6-2, completely shifting the momentum of the match. And then, in the deciding third set, she delivered an absolute masterclass. Eala bageled Joint, winning the final set 6-love in a dazzling display of power and precision. She won 15 games across the match, hit 27 first serve points, and saved her absolute best tennis for when the pressure was at its highest. This wasn't just a win, it was a psychological exorcism. Eala proved to herself and to the rest of the locker room that she has the tactical adaptability and the mental fortitude to problem solve on the fly and exact revenge on the biggest stage imaginable. Now, let's talk about the phenomenon that is happening off the court, because it is playing a massive role in Eala's mindset heading into this clash with Iga Świątek. The headline of our deep dive mentions massive backing, and this cannot be overstated. Alex Eala is not just a tennis player. She has become a cultural icon for Philippines, and global brands have taken notice in a major way. The most glaring evidence of this is her incredible partnership with Nike. Eala is a global ambassador for the sports titan, but Nike isn't just handing her standard issue gear. They are actively collaborating with her to tell her unique story. During her second-round post-match press conference, Eala took a moment to show the world the backstrap of her custom white Wimbledon visor. It featured an intricate embroidery of a sampaguita, the national flower of the Philippines. Alongside the flower was a Tagalog phrase she posted on her Instagram, Kapag lumago, hindi nahihinto. Every dream begins as a seed. Once it grows, it cannot be stopped. Eala spoke beautifully about what this meant to her, telling reporters that it is profoundly sentimental to carry parts of her culture onto the court. She emphasized that where she comes from is a massive part of who she is and a guiding light for who she wants to become. This deep connection to her roots has been nurtured by Nike for months. Earlier this year, ahead of the Indian Wells tournament, Eala was invited to the Nike headquarters in Oregon. They didn't just give her a tour, they rolled out the red carpet. They decorated the walls with blown-up photographs of her career highlights. They even designed a custom ping-pong table featuring images of the sampaguita flower as a direct tribute to her heritage, presenting her with bespoke, sampaguita-inspired apparel. This level of personalized, narrative-driven backing from a company like Nike is usually reserved for the absolute upper echelon of sporting legends, the Serena Williams and Rafael Nadals of the world. The fact that Nike is investing this heavily in Eala's cultural narrative speaks volumes about her marketability, her star power, and her absolute belief that she is destined for greatness. And then there is the backing of the Filipino people. Tennis is a global sport, but it can be incredibly lonely out on the tour. Eala, however, carries a nation of over 100 million people with her every time she steps up to serve. The Filipino diaspora is famous for its passionate support of its athletes, and Eala has captured their hearts entirely. She is acutely aware of the support. After a massive victory over Serena Sirsti at the Dubai Open earlier this year, Eala took the microphone during her on-court interview and spoke directly to her fans back home in Tagalog, thanking them for sacrificing their sleep to watch her play. Salamat sa pagpuyat, MGA Kababayan, she told them. That level of connection creates a powerful armor. When she steps on the grass against Iga Świątek, she won't just be drawing on her physical training. She will be fueled by an entire country that believes she can achieve the impossible. And the reason they believe she can achieve the impossible is because she has already done it before. This brings us to the fascinating, highly complicated rivalry between Alexandra Eala and Iga Świątek. This third-round Wimbledon clash is not their first meeting. In fact, it is a thrilling third chapter of a rivalry that has been split evenly across two very different surfaces. Let's rewind to the spring of 2025, to the blistering hard courts of the Miami Open. Iga Świątek came into that tournament as a previous champion and the undisputed favorite. She was playing phenomenal tennis, tearing through a murderer's row of opponents, including Caroline Garcia, Elise Mertens, and Alina Svitolina just to reach the quarterfinals. Eala, on the other hand, was the new kid on the block. She was having a breakout tournament, having defeated two Grand Slam champions in Yelena Ostapenko and Madison Keys. But despite Eala's incredible run, the tennis world collectively assumed that her Cinderella story would end when she met the world number one. Swiatek's heavy topspin, suffocating movement, and relentless baseline aggression were simply deemed too much for the young Filipina. But Eala didn't get the memo. In what remains one of the most shocking upsets in recent WTA history, Eala completely dismantled Swiatek in straight sets. She refused to be pushed behind the baseline. Eala took Swiatek's heavy forehands exceptionally early, flattening out her own ground strokes and redirecting the pace down the lines with breathtaking precision. Eala served out her mind, hitting spots that completely neutralized Swiatek's usually lethal return game. It was a historic victory, the biggest of Eala's career up to that point, sending her skyrocketing up the WTA rankings and proving to the world that the Polish powerhouse was not invincible on hard courts. However, champions do not stay down for long, and Iga Świątek is the definition of a champion. Their second meeting came just a few weeks later at the Madrid Open, and this time the battleground was Swiatek's absolute favorite surface, clay. Swiatek was a defending champion in Madrid, and she entered the match with a massive point to prove. The conditions in Madrid, the high bounce of the clay combined with the altitude, perfectly suited Swiatek's heavy, spinning ground strokes. Eala fought valiantly, trying to replicate the aggressive first-strike tennis that won her the match in Miami, but the clay neutralized her flat power. Swiatek used her sliding defense to extend rallies, waiting for Eala to overcook a shot or force an error. Swiatek took her revenge, leveling their head-to-head at 1 win apiece. This leads us to the most incredibly tantalizing aspect of this upcoming Wimbledon clash. We have had one match on hard court, won by Eala. We have had one match on clay, won by Swiatek. Now, for the decider, we move to the third surface, grass. Grass is the great equalizer in tennis. It behaves unlike any other surface on tour. The ball skids low, the bounce is unpredictable, and rallies are typically much shorter. Footwork has to be incredibly precise, as the slick surface makes aggressive sliding incredibly dangerous and difficult. So, who does this surface favor? On paper, Iga Świątek is a defending Wimbledon champion. You do not win at the All-England Club without knowing how to master the grass. Historically, grass was Swiatek's weakest surface. Early in her career, she struggled to adapt her extreme Western forehand grip and heavy topspin to the low-bouncing lawns. However, over the years, she has worked tirelessly to shorten her swings, improve her slice, and develop a more aggressive transition game, culminating in her triumph here last year. She has the experience, the pedigree, and the sheer intimidation factor of being the world number one. But do not count Alex Eala out for a single second. Many tennis purists argue that Eala's natural game is actually tailor-made for grass. She possesses incredibly clean, flat ball-striking abilities. Because she doesn't rely heavily on extreme topspin, the low bounce of the grass won't force her out of her strike zone. She likes to take the ball on the rise, a skill that is absolutely essential on a surface that punishes players who camp out far behind the baseline. Furthermore, her victory over Maya Joint showcased a highly effective, skidding slice and a willingness to move forward to the net when the opportunity presents itself. Tactically, this match is going to be a fascinating game of chess. For Eala to pull off another massive upset, her serve has to be absolutely impregnable. Swiatek is arguably the greatest returner in the women's game right now. If Eala's first serve percentage drops, Swiatek will absolutely obliterate her second serves, immediately putting Eala on the defensive in the rally. Eala needs to serve with high velocity, but more importantly, high variation. She needs to keep Swiatek guessing, utilizing a wide slice serve to open up the court and then immediately taking a first strike into the open space. Eala cannot afford to get dragged into grueling 20-shot rallies. She has to keep the points short, sharp, and entirely on her terms. On the other side of the net, Swiatek's game plan will revolve around depth and movement. She will look to pin Eala deep in the corners, using her incredibly heavy cross-court forehand to break down Eala's defenses. Swiatek will try to exploit any slight hesitation in Eala's footwork. Because grass is so unforgiving, if Swiatek can force Eala to hit balls while off balance, the unforced errors will inevitably pile up. The world number one will also look to target Eala's backhand, trying to generate high bouncing balls that force Eala out of her comfort zone. The stakes for this third round encounter are astronomically high. This isn't just about advancing to the second week of a major. It is about defining career trajectories. For Alex Eala, a victory would be her first ever appearance in the fourth round of a Grand Slam. It would officially transition her status from a rising challenger to a legitimate, undeniable contender for major titles. It would validate the massive backing she has received, vindicate the belief of the millions of Filipinos supporting her, and cement her name as one of the brightest young stars in the history of the sport. A win over the defending champion on center court is the kind of legacy-defining moment that players dream of their entire lives. For Iga Świątek, the pressure is equally immense. A loss in the third round will completely derail her title defense. It would be a significant blow to her ranking points and would raise massive questions about her vulnerability against hyper-aggressive, flat-hitting players. Swiatek has built an aura of invincibility, particularly as the world number one, and a premature exit at Wimbledon would crack that armor for the rest of the locker room to see. She knows exactly what Eala is capable of. She remembers the sting of that defeat in Miami. Swiatek will not underestimate her 20-year-old opponent for a single second. When these two extraordinary athletes walk out onto the pristine grass of the All-England Club, they will bring with them two completely different worlds. Swiatek brings a weight of the crown, the experience of multiple Grand Slam victories, and the clinical precision of a player who has dominated a generation. Eala brings a fearlessness of youth, the unmatched power of cultural pride, and a customized Nike visor that carries the blooming hope of a nation. Kapag lumago, hindi na hinto. Eala has undoubtedly grown. Her game has blossomed, her mentality has hardened, and her backing is truly massive. The seed has taken root, and now, Iga Świątek is a final obstacle standing in the way of a spectacular bloom. This matches all the ingredients of an absolute classic. The contrasting styles, the rich history between the two players, the revenge narratives on both sides, and the sheer, unadulterated passion that Eala is bringing to the court make this essential viewing for any sports fan. It is a battle of power versus spin, of fearless aggression versus tactical defense, of a hungry challenger looking to dethrone a reigning queen. As we wrap up this deep dive into the blockbuster third-round clash at Wimbledon, it is impossible not to feel the gravity of the moment. We have dissected the brilliant, resilient path Alex Eala carved the first two rounds, specifically that spectacular revenge victory over Maya Joint. We have explored the massive, deeply personal backing she is receiving from Nike, turning her heritage into a global symbol of unstoppable growth. We've looked back at the incredible history between Eala and Iga Świątek, the shocking upset in Miami, the calculated revenge in Madrid, and we've broken down exactly why the slick grass of Wimbledon serves as the ultimate, unpredictable tiebreaker for this blossoming rivalry. This is what Grand Slam tennis is all about. It is a theater of the spectacular, where tactical brilliance meets raw, emotional endurance. Will the world number one assert her dominance and continue her march toward a title defense, proving that her mastery of the grass is absolute? Or will Alexandra Eala, fueled by the love of her nation and an unshakable belief in her own destiny, shock the world once more and secure a historic spot in the round 16? I want to hear from all of you. Head down to the comments section right now and give me your predictions. Do you think Eala's flat, aggressive hitting will be too much for Swiatek on the grass? Or do you believe the defending champion has the experience and the defensive skills to defuse the Filipina's firepower? Who takes it, and in how many sets? Drop your thoughts below. If you enjoyed this deep dive analysis, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our comprehensive coverage of the biggest stories in the sporting world. Enjoy the match, everyone. The stage is set, history is on the line, and this is one showdown you absolutely cannot miss. Until next time, take care